So we have a very special guest for you guys. Curtis Stone,
The urban farmer.
urban farmer, is here to give us some pretty hard audit on our garden, right?
We're not going to pull any punches.
He's going to show us what we're doing wrong.
Yep.
And hopefully what we can do to do a better job, because we need help with our garden.
Yeah, I can see that already.
Oh, no!
All right, so should we just get started at the top, and we'll just go through
Absolutely.
everything, and you can tell us what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and what we can do better.
Absolutely.
All right,
Let's do it.
let's do it.
So when we put the garden in, we have a huge gopher issue, and so we needed to do something to control them. We put in free raised bed boxes, wire mesh underneath.
Yep.
That's why we have this.
Yeah.
We've got 30, we had 36, but now we have 32 4x4 raised bed boxes.
Yeah, so it makes sense in the context, but it's just not practical, right? I mean, the wood's rotting, and the challenge you will have over time with this is that you don't have any subsoil relationship. The impractical thing with this is that it's hard to work this. You got to do everything by hand. What I would do is create all new raised beds, but have long beds. Imagine if this was just one bed. You don't need to have all this side unless you had a reason for that.
No.
No, because then that's just actually going to give you shade. You're in a zone 4 too. You actually want to get maximum sun on your crops. So you're actually reducing your light by having this, especially on the shoulder season. So to have this unified, you could basically have a shorter raised bed off the ground, touching the soil with a wire mesh underneath it, and then you wouldn't need this because this is only going to last so long. These probably have at most 2 more years in them, right?
Number 2, irrigation.
Yeah, so right now, I mean, the problem with raised beds, the challenge with raised beds is they dry out fast, especially the edges. So with the soaker hose you have on here, you're only irrigating this specific spot. I would suggest having a mister system. You could have it, with these, you could have a corner one that sprays at a 90 here, one there that sprays at a 90, and then you could put another one here that sprays at a 180, and they basically just overlap their patterns. That way, with your direct seeding stuff, so say you're sprinkling some spinach seed in there, some arugula or lettuce, you're gonna get a nice top soak on the soil and it's gonna germinate well.
So Curtis, we travel a lot.
Yeah.
What should we do with irrigation?
Well, you need to have some kind of automated system. And you can get simple timers. You can get a 4-zone timer from Home Depot. And you could have multiple zones on certain segments of the bed, so that say you only planted those ones in the spring, you could just water those and you don't have to water everything else. And then just set the timers. You can change them throughout the season because your watering cycles in the summer and the spring and the fall are going to be different.
Right.
So it's not a complicated thing to do, but once you set up the infrastructure to have just some main lines on the beds and then some simple misters, putting this timer together is simple. Just, okay, this starts at this time and so on and so forth.
And do you use that just when you travel or all the time?
All the time.
Okay.
Yeah. Hand watering, this is, you imagine the old agrarians going out in the field with cans watering. I mean, that's a lot of work and a lot of unnecessary work. The technology is more than available. So yeah, all the time. Just have it waters at this time every single day. Done.
Number 3, succession planting.
Yeah.
My lettuce looks great. My radishes look great, but I'm done.
But they're done.
But I want to have them for the rest of the summer. What should I do?
Yeah, that's the thing. So you got to keep planting. And, lettuce, it's something that once we're into summer, like we are now,
Yeah.
you should be planting a couple rows of lettuce every week or every couple weeks. And then you harvest those a couple times. Once they're done, take them out, put some radishes in their place. Then keep planting. The way I look at it.
Do you do it on paper?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't, actually. Well, I do it in spreadsheets.
Oh, okay.
As far as the farm goes, I do it in spreadsheets. But it's just, think about your quick growing crops. So your radishes, your spinach, your greens, your beets, the crops that have like 60 days or less to maturity.
Yeah.
Basically, you look on the seed pack, you see DTM, 60 days or 80 days or whatever.
Yeah.
Anything that's 60 days or less is quick. Those are the crops you want to keep succession planting, but you don't want to plant too much because then you have more than you can use at once.
I know,
Like
look.
you talked about your radishes. You said I had too many radishes, I had to can them all.
fermenting,
Then now they're going to seed. So you want to just figure out how much you can use in a week, and then plant that. And then just plant that constantly. And then you might say, okay, this bed here is going to be a radish succession. So I'm going to keep it empty. I'm going to plant 2 rows of radishes. Then I'm going to wait another week, plant another 2 rows. In 4 or 5 weeks, it'll all be radishes, but you'll see the stages of succession.
So my greenhouse is very sturdily built, but it doesn't have the plastic on the side because of snow load. So most of the greenhouses collapsed this year.
Yeah.
Ours did not. My growing season, it's very, very short. We're zone 4.
Yeah.
What should I do?
Well, I mean, this is good as far, but this is a nursery, right? There's a difference between greenhouses and nurseries. A nursery is where you start plants. A greenhouse is where you grow plants to full maturity. So you don't have a greenhouse per se.
Okay.
You do have a nursery.
Yeah.
And this is a good one. It's more or less doing what you want.
Yeah.
You've got a place to put your soil, start your plants. You've got some misting irrigation in there. That's great. One thing I think you could do to get your tomatoes, because I mean, I'm looking at your tomatoes and I'm going, I don't know. I think what you could do is pot up your tomatoes better. So start them small.
Yeah.
And don't put your tomatoes into a big pot like this.
Yeah.
And keep them in the greenhouse for a while. I mean, you planted them now, that's good, but you could have started them earlier. I don't like mounds.
Okay, why?
Because, I mean, how much annual rainfall do you get here?
I have no idea.
Well, do you get a lot in the summer?
No.
No. See, what's happening here is your tomatoes are drying out. Look at this. Like this is almost dust. You could, if you're in a dry climate, it's almost better to do the opposite. So in where I live, I've got Italian and Mediterranean gardeners around, and they're the best gardeners because they understand the hot, dry climate. What they actually do is they do the reverse. They actually create a ditch so that it harvests water. So tomatoes don't like to be too wet, but they don't like to be too dry, and they look stressed.
So this is a volunteer, and I just left it in here with the rest of the tomatoes.
Yeah.
What can I do?
Well, the amazing thing about volunteers is this is actually the healthiest tomato in your garden right now.
I know it's sad, isn't it?
Well, not necessarily, but it's a mess as far as it's not producing any fruit yet, but that's okay. But I would just come in here and just clear some of this stuff out. You got a lot of random branches in here, so like look at this one. There's no there's a bit of beginning of blossom on it, but I'm gonna take it right off.
Okay.
Because I want to focus on. So that's your main stem. Then I got some flowers there. I want to just create a little bit less competition in here amongst this and just clean this thing up.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what variety this is, but certainly coming in here and removing your suckers is going to help make this tomato just produce a bit more. Otherwise, there's just so much stuff going on. You're in it for the fruit, right? You're not in it to grow tomato plants for the sake of growing tomato plants. You're in it for the fruit.
Yeah.
So we need to just look at our fruit branches and go with that. So there's a big sucker there. Get that out. So that's going to now put more energy into growing that fruit.
So I've got the raspberries here, and unfortunately I've mixed different,
Varieties.
different varieties. So I'm
Yep.
not sure what I have in the various locations.
Yep.
So when to prune and when not to prune. What do I do to keep the? And this is like bird heaven.
Yeah, basically, I'm not an expert on berries. I grow them myself for my garden.
Yeah.
And the best thing to do to keep birds off is get a netting.
And so how would I net?
You would
best?
basically just create a frame
Okay.
around this. So let's say that this is your raspberry area.
Yeah.
Some posts every 10 feet. Run some 2x4s along the top. You don't need to net it when it's just flowering, but once the fruit is starting to set, then you can net it.
Okay.
And then that net will be up there for whatever the duration of these berries is.
Okay.
And that'll keep the birds off. That's what the farmers do. I mean, when I even drove up here, I could see 10-acre farms entirely netted.
Yes.
Big blocks of netting. This is what farmers do if they're in production of this crop. It's the same thing. You mean, you can even do it in a lazy way too, where you just drape it over the crop itself. But you've already got some semi-infrastructure here. You could almost just kind of add on to it.
I guess what I've really gotten the most out of kind of getting your take on this is I have not really warmed up to gardening because I found it to be so overwhelming.
Yes.
And you can talk to 3 different gardeners and actually get contrary opinions. And,
Absolutely.
And for me, someone who likes things to have systems, that's why I like timber framing mechanic, because there is a way to do it and there's a way not to do it.
Yep.
Gardening is so nebulous. It should be called
Totally.
like practicing gardening, like
Yeah.
medicine.
Yeah.
It's so different. There's so many variables. What would you say to someone who you find like myself that wants to get back a little more to the land? Maybe not on a huge scale, but is intimidated to get into it and basically throws up their hands like it's just no use. What do you
Well,
say?
I am a systems guy. I love systems, and I relate to exactly what you're saying. And I think there can be order in the garden. And if you create more order in the garden, that might entice you to be more interested in it.
She says she likes the chaos.
Well, then
well,
you need,
yes,
then
I
you
love
guys,
the chaos.
then you guys come from a black and white, and you meet in the gray area,
That's why
and you find, like, I love straight lines, straight rows. I love lettuce here, radishes here. I like boxes. I like doing it that way.
You
And
see who put the boxes in, and the
Yeah.
square fences, and the greenhouse exactly in the
Yeah.
center, you know, and then she's got the sunflowers.
yeah, there's a happy medium to it for sure, and try to find that place where maybe the nebulous gardening goes over in this area, and the succession gardening goes in this area. So in these boxes this year, it's going to be 5 or 10 different things and be on succession. So that's where we're going to do all of our quick growing crops there. We're going to do our onions over here this year. And then we can have sort of experimental thing like this. And this here is beautiful, actually. And it's nice to have that kind of thing. But do a bit of both.
Yeah. For me, it seems what I would want to do is I would like, okay, I'm going to do strawberries. I'm going to get really good at that, and then I might take on another thing and another thing. Do you recommend that approach, or you just jump all in? Just try everything?
Never jump all in. When I teach farmers, I say, start with 10 crops and nail those crops. Get them perfect, then go on to something else. Too many farmers and homesteaders and gardeners, they want to do everything. To broaden it out a bit, they go, I want to be off the grid. I want to collect all my own rainwater. I want to grow all my own food. And then it's
want
like
animals.
nothing gets done
Yeah.
because you're trying everything. So you want to just like get a few things dialed. And it's just not realistic to say, I'm going to replace buying food from the homestead. It's just not realistic right away. But you can say, hey, you know what? Why don't we grow all of our own salad, herbs, and tomatoes?
Yeah.
Let's nail those, get those perfect. Then when we have that, let's go on to something else.
Yeah.
Throw in the salsa with the peppers and onions and
Absolutely.
just garlic.
Absolutely.
I
And
think
just,
that's a great idea, and then you're also going to build confidence. And not only
That's
that,
the
but
thing.
you're also going to learn your climate and your area.
Yep.
And a lot of people, I think, if you are buying land, you may be coming to an area that you've never been before. You don't know what's going to happen in the winter. You don't know when the frosts are. You don't know a lot of things, and so to plant everything at once, could really set you up for disappointment and be discouraging.
It is because the crop is so nuanced. Plants are nuanced, just like human beings are. And if you have too many things going on, there's too many nuances to learn. If you have 5 things to learn, you can pay attention. That's the thing, is nature is all, it's observation. We can learn from nature if we observe, but if there's too much to observe, we're only skimming the top.
Yeah.
Whereas if we have less to look at, less is more.
And you're just
Right.
running around putting fires out.
That's right.
Basically,
Yeah, and that's all you're doing is putting fires. And this is the story of pretty much every farmer, and why farmers are considered to be these old, jaded, bitter people, because they're always just running around putting out fires. But if you have systems and you have things in the right place, then you can have those little successes and learn from them, and then leverage that experience to something else.
That's right.
So
Start
it's
small.
So helpful.
Absolutely.
Well, we really appreciate you coming down. You drove 7-8 hours.
Yep.
Went through customs and
Yep.
everything. or
Yep. They took the
Canadian
tomatoes that I was going to bring you guys.
So Curtis is a tremendous resource, and really your specialty, if you don't know his channel, is growing, and you've made profitable gardens in tiny little spaces.
Tiny little spaces.
So really maximizing spaces. So we're not talking about a lot of big stuff like this. You can do really well with what's in your backyard.
Our farm is 1/3 of an acre in production space, and we make $100,000 a year on 1/3 of an acre.
Amazing.
And I've helped farmers scale their farms down and make more money and work less, because it's all about systems.
Right. So how can they find you on YouTube?
They can find me if they search Urban Farmer Curtis Stone on YouTube, and my website is theurbanfarmer.co.
Well, I really appreciate you coming down, and I'm looking forward to doing more things together.
Absolutely.
It would be something that'd be really interesting to me. So.
Myself as
All
well.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Great.
please go
Thank
on
you.
over and check out Curtis's channel, and as a thank you, especially subscribe. Great information, and it's going to be a tremendous resource for us too. So.
Thanks for
You'll
having
learn
me,
a
guys.
ton.
All right. Thanks
Yeah.
for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video.
All right.
So why are you still here on this end card? You need to be going over to Curtis's channel and subscribing. He is a incredible guy. Very, very smart. I knew he was smart from watching his videos, but when I met him in life, I realized, yep, he's very smart. So we have actually an interview. He interviewed Mrs. W and I. It was a very candid interview, and it might give you some insights into homesteading, why we chose to do what we do, and I guess, maybe things we've never answered or certainly that I've never spoke to in videos. So go on over there. You can click Curtis's icon there. It'll take you right over. Tell him you came over from the channel, and tell him thank you from me for making that long drive and helping us so much with our garden. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.